Merry Christmas.
That does feel silly, doesn't it? It's October. It's
Merry
October.
Christmas and happy Halloween. No,
Yes,
but there's a reason we're doing this right now. There's a
there
reason.
is.
So
Mhm.
Alex, tell us, why are we talking about Christmas and we're not even hitting November yet?
Well, okay, 2020, it's been quite a year.
Mhm.
And 2019, we tried something for the first time and it kind of worked really
Oh
well.
my
And so we're
gosh.
bringing it back for 2020.
So it didn't just work for the people who were going through it. It worked for you and me.
Yeah. Oh,
Like tell
yeah.
us about what it was like for you going through it.
So we started something last year we called the Christmas Remake. And we essentially decided in November, we are going to do a lot of the work of Christmas so that in December, when our kids are home from school or home from college, we can enjoy the people that are around us and not be those women that are staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning
Mhm.
the night before, whatever, the party, Christmas morning, scrambling to get stuff done because scramble is not fun.
No, it's so
But,
stressful. So stressful.
and these are all tasks that in general, you and I enjoy doing. Like we enjoy thinking about Christmas cards and we enjoy thinking about gifts and
Mhm.
cooking and decorating. But when we're doing it on a time crunch because we have put it off, which I'm probably much more guilty of this than you are, just in general, our personalities, then it becomes less enjoyable. So
Totally.
we invited some other women from the Sisterhood to join us. And we did it together. We put some videos together. We put some lists together, some worksheets, some things that people can work through to practically do the work. And we called it the Christmas Remake. And people said it changed their Christmas. And I believe it because it was so good to just get stuff done in November. So that's why it's still October and we're doing an episode about Christmas because we are going to do the Christmas Remake and it starts next week.
Boom, boom, boom. Here we go.
Yes.
Well, because, and we're going to talk about this today, but that, like when I looked at my calendar last week, I went, oh my gosh, like we're
Mhm.
knocking on the door of Thanksgiving. And, because we just don't tend to switch mentally until November and say, oh, the holidays are coming, but they're coming. I mean, we're already at the end of
They're coming.
October. So
Mhm.
it just comes fast.
It does come fast. And you know what? I'm gonna try not to cry, but my first child is leaving next year, hopefully, COVID willing, God willing,
Mhm.
and she's gonna graduate from high school this year. So this is the last year that I have her at home for all of December and for Thanksgiving too. I mean, I don't know what it's gonna look like next year.
Mhm.
So I just want to cherish it. I want to hold it all because this could be the last time that all four of my kids are decorating the tree.
Mhm.
And so I don't want to be scrambling. I want to
Mhm.
be kind of on top of things. The other thing, just on a personal note, is I have a book due December 1st. So
Yes, you do.
it's also a time when, life just keeps going. We all have obligations. We all have other things that are happening. We all have extra stresses because 2020 everyone is extra stressed. I mean, it just is the reality. So we are going to remake Christmas and we're going to make it as good as we can. We can't control everything, but we can control the things we can control. So let's do this together. And we're going to talk about it today so that you can sign up this week because we're starting next week. And what this means is we're going to have little daily tasks for 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of November, so that by the time Thanksgiving week happens, you're so organized for Christmas. It's just going to
Yeah.
be glorious.
It is
Glorious.
totally one of our taglines is your December self will thank your November self. And it's really
Mm-hmm,
true. I found myself thanking my November self last year. So
mm-hmm.
let's dive in. Let's talk about 10 things that will create more peace this holiday season. Number 10, go, Alex.
A plan ahead. Was this mine?
Okay,
I
so
think number 10 is you, Krista.
it's me. Okay, so
That's
number
why we're doing the
nine.
Christmas remake so that we can say, hey, not my thing, your thing. Okay, number 10.
You're like,
Krista.
wait a minute. I didn't write plan ahead. You wrote plan ahead.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about planning ahead, but let's kick it off. Krista, number 10.
Number 10, plan ahead. So
Mhm.
the more proactive we can be, the better. So, like I just said, we are staring down the holidays in just a few weeks. And I don't transition mentally until the end of October. But then all of a sudden, it's like you're in it. So, because we're hosting Thanksgiving, we're going to host probably our college kids' friends for Thanksgiving because none of them can leave campus and we live closer to campus. So, anyway, um, there's just a lot that's going to happen fast. And so planning ahead and actually looking at our calendars, seeing what we've got going on and how we can start being proactive about the holidays early only helps us. Like time is our friend. Once we get into December, it's like that's already because it's the mental stress. I know for me, that's how I work. Maybe if I wait to do absolutely nothing until December, okay, I'll still get it done. But mentally, I will be stressed because of the time crunch, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's part of the mental weight that we carry with the holidays as well as actually the physical tasks that need to be done. So planning ahead helps me with the mental weight of that.
Yeah, because if you're planning, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it. You're not necessarily executing it, but you know when you're going to. So that's what takes that mental stress off.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
you just
writing it
have a
down.
plan.
Mhm.
Okay, number 9.
Number 9, decide and name what you want from the holiday. So, what are your expectations? Now, it could be something really practical, like you said, we're going to host Thanksgiving, or we're going to host Christmas dinner, or we want to see my parents because we haven't seen them since February. That's not me, but could be for somebody. Just what is it that you are wanting out of this holiday season? For me, it is including my oldest daughter in as many activities as she will allow me to rope her into, because I don't know if she's going to be here when we make cookies next year. So then the second half of that is evaluate whether your expectations are realistic.
Mhm.
Because, like I just mentioned, something that involved somebody else. And just because that's my expectation and my hope and what I want doesn't necessarily mean it's realistic. So then it's a little bit of that mental shift of, oh, okay, this is what I want. Is it realistic? Yes, great. Is it realistic? No. Okay, I need to make an adjustment in my expectations because it is dependent on other people that I might not be able to count
Mhm. Yeah. Yep.
on. Mhm.
Okay. Number 8 is the sales are coming. So make a list and check it twice now.
Mhm.
Meaning,
Eh,
like, if you wait till the last minute, I mean, because Amazon, for example, their prices fluctuate. And I have this app on my computer. It's called Honey. I think it's just
mhm,
called Honey.
mhm.
My
Yeah, I've
daughter
heard of it.
installed it. And it shows me price drops. So, I mean, as you know from your book, and my book does this too sometimes, is it'll drop to like $5 for 24 hours and then it goes back to $14.99 or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so Amazon fluctuates their pricing. And so Honey actually will track price drops for you. So that's helpful.
So
But
you
then
put in the things that you're looking for, the
you can
items
say
that you want to keep an
watch.
eye on.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can
Mhm.
put like watch this item and then you can watch for a price drop.
That's so
And then
good.
the other thing that I think is just so helpful is, every store under the sun is expected to have Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. They're just expected to because everybody else has them. And so if you have, okay, my kids, let's say you're going to get 3 gifts for every child. And I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but let's say you've got a want and needing a surprise and that's how you're doing it. And your kids maybe are older and they like more expensive things. That really saves a lot. Like if you're buying for 2 or 3 kids and you can buy $50 off of
Mhm.
the item, that adds up to a huge savings. And so if again, it's kind of getting your ducks in a row, figuring out what gifts am I really getting the kids this year and how can I price watch for those over the next month and a half?
That's great. And just a plug for the Christmas remake. you do make a gift plan as part of the remake. So
Mhm.
just a little plug to sign up.
Yeah.
Okay, number 7 is order Christmas cards. So this is one of those things that I really like my Christmas cards to go out before Christmas. Not everybody's that way, and if you're not that way, bless you. But
Mm.
I am that way, and then I also am the way that I don't order them in time. So then I am stressed. So decide what's my Christmas card plan, make an order, and guess what? You still have time if you want a family picture to take a picture.
Mm.
So that's the benefit of doing that now. Now, can I just say one little thing about Christmas cards?
Yeah.
Um, I had somebody this week tell me, I don't want to send out Christmas cards because nothing happened this year that I want to talk about. I just want to remind you that the tradition of setting up and sending out Christmas cards is to greet people with the good news that Jesus came. It doesn't need to be a highlight reel of 2020 because we all know we don't really have highlight reels. And it doesn't need to be a competition about whose kids are growing up to be the supermodels of 2020. No, this is about greeting people that you love with a greeting of, isn't it great news that God came at Christmas? And so that's where the tradition started, and we can kind of bring that back. And we don't have to have had the most amazing year. This is the message I want you to hold in your heart for the rest of your life. This is not just a 2020 message. Okay,
Mhm.
my commercial break is over. Krista, number 6.
Okay, number 6 is employ third way thinking. So this is a
Mm,
concept you and I talk about all the time because we're big
mhm,
fans. But third way thinking is simply you're faced with a dilemma and there is this way to answer it or this way to answer it. Third way thinking is somewhere in the middle. So that means you come up with like a how about, okay,
mhm.
this is the way I can't do this and I can't do this, but let's think of a third way that's going to work. And I use this with my kids weekly. I mean, we literally just did it the other day. So, third way thinking gives us creativity in our thought life. And we think about, okay, COVID is going to
Mhm.
make Christmas different this year. It just is in many ways. Maybe we can't go to the places we normally go to. We can't be with the people we normally are with. But here's what we can do because we're going to creatively think about how we can do Christmas uniquely and even more special in some ways. So for let me give an example of how we've done it during COVID. So my son graduated during COVID. And we all know how that went. All the graduations were canceled and it was just really anticlimactic. Well, so our choice was, have him walk in the parking lot by himself, like the school did, which was fine, or not do anything, right? Well, we came up with kind of this third way. We did have him walk in the parking lot, but that didn't really feel like graduation to me. And so then we ended up creating a family service where my husband and I were the commencement speakers. We had all the cousins do some kind of role, like one of my son, or yeah, my youngest, he was the diploma giver and he even like did the handshake and posed for the picture. I mean, we just kind of gave
Mhm.
everyone a role. But that was a way to think in a creative way about how to do graduation differently. And the reason I bring graduation up is because that's a milestone moment, like Christmas is in many of our
Mhm.
years, right? So Christmas is kind of a marker. It's special. We want it to be special. So what I'm saying, and in that situation, it actually ended up being the most special and meaningful graduation we've ever had with any of the kids in our extended family. I mean, my sister and I looked at each other after it was over and we're like, we wish every kid would have had this. Like it was so personal and so meaningful. And so I think we can be surprised sometimes by
Mm.
how thinking outside the box and entering in with some creativity and thought, it can actually even exceed our expectations and be even more special than a normal year when we wouldn't go to those lengths to do something different. So maybe expect surprise as you think creatively, expect surprise and be expectant to what God might do in that.
Right. And Christmas is full of tradition.
Mhm.
So this is going to be the year where third way thinking needs to be applied, because we can't do the things that we typically do. I mean, the Nutcracker, going on the Christmas train, all these activities and concerts that are not happening this year or are happening in a different way. Just being nimble enough to say, okay, this year it's not going to look that way, but what can we do instead? It gets back to my whole COVID thing with my kids of ask me something I can say yes to.
Mhm.
In just, I don't want it the yes or the no. There has to be a third way. So that's what we're talking about with third way thinking.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, number 5.
Number 5 is okay, we've done our third way thinking. We've dealt with our own expectations. It is now time to talk to our people about our plans. And this can be hard. It can be hard any Christmas if you are telling people that their expectations are not going to be met. So these conversations can be difficult, but probably they're just going to be more common this year because of COVID restrictions. But I will say there might be opportunity here to change some things up that have needed to change for a while. If you have felt trapped, I mean, that's a pretty negative word, but I think for some people in their extended families or in their own family that they live with, the tradition or we always or we never, it can feel like, do we always have to do it this way? This is maybe the year that we get to mix it up. And so presenting it in that positive way may be really helpful. Now, one reality about Christmas this year for many families is that budgets may be more limited than in years past. So this would be the time to be talking about that if changes need to be made. And again, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe we've been overspending at Christmas time for years. Again, not me. I'm just saying in general, I know this is a stressor for people. So maybe this is a wonderful opportunity to say, this is the year we're pulling back on the Christmas budget because we need to. And everybody in the family probably knows if there's a need to be pulling back budget wise, it's not going to be a surprise. But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's just been a long time coming. So the key is communication, because let's take budget, for example. If you have kids who are expecting what they've received in years past,
Mhm.
Christmas morning, there's only one gift and they were expecting 10. Obviously, that's not going to go over as well as if you had talked about it and communicated that ahead of time. So the earlier, the better. It's not going to feel as panicky if you're bringing it up in October as if you're bringing it up December 15th. Just word of wisdom from years of experience and talking to lots of women about Christmas and expectations. So
Mhm.
I'd say do that now.
Well, and getting back to the third way thinking, it could really become a fun thing. Like you could announce, like make a like, I have a fun announcement at dinner. And like, okay, budget's a little tight this year. So we're going to actually do a handmade challenge. And we are going to do like handmade gifts as one of our main gifts this year, and that's going to require a little bit of you. It's going to require some creativity and sacrifice and actually making the time to make something homemade. But that's to me the true heart of Christmas, right? Is that you're really putting aside time for other people on their thinking about them on their behalf and what they would think was fun and like. And
Mhm.
so that could be a fun way to, make kind of spin it in a positive way. And you may be surprised what everybody comes up with.
And it's October.
Mhm.
So you're giving people time. That's the
Right.
wonderful thing. Because remember, stress happens when we feel that time crunch.
Hmm.
So, especially with something like this, where maybe the commodity that you have extra of because of COVID is
Hmm.
time, then you can spend it well over the next few months.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I feel like the next one, actually, number 4, really goes nicely with that one, and that is service. That as a family, this would be a great time to really decide how do we want to either formally or informally incorporate this idea of serving other people. So one of the things, I'm going to link to a TED Talk in our show notes, but this TED Talk, it's one of the most popular TED Talks, but it talks about what actually creates an abundant life. And it goes through 3 different aspects of the abundant life. And one of them is fun, one of them is engagement, and one of them is meaning. And basically what it says is that if you don't have meaning attached, and the way that he defines that, so this is a researcher, and the way he defines that is actually harnessing your gifts for the benefit of someone else. So that's how he defines the meaningful life, that we can have the others in our lives, but actually we will feel empty and can lead to depression, because we realize if we just focus on like the pleasure, the happiness one, then at the end of the day it's fleeting and it's momentary, and we realize that, and then that leads to depression, which is why we see all these Hollywood stars that have 10 houses and countless vacations, and they're sad and their marriages are broken. And I'm not saying necessarily that's why, but they talk about feeling empty. They have all the resources in the world. Well, this TED Talk really explains that well, why. So when we look at what's truly going to bring joy for our family this Christmas, adding that component of meaning, that actually is the abundant life. And so how can we bring that into the Christmas season? So let's say you haven't been able to spend as much time with grandparents or extended family because of COVID. Maybe as a part of Christmas this year, you come up with a family plan that once a week, in December, or maybe it's just even one day, we are going to go shovel their walk and bring, a homemade something, caramel corn and hot chocolate. And it's going to be fully outside. We're going to be outside, but we're going to make this, a time to bless these people that we love. Or maybe it's someone in the church, or, there's countless ideas for how you can incorporate service into your family. Just enter it on Google. And I just think the key here being that you think we will all be surprised at how that helps our children reframe how they also feel about the holiday season, because this whole thing about the meaningful life, it's across the board age-wise. It's from young kids to old. It's how we all experience abundance. So just thinking about how can we incorporate service in some kind over the next couple of months and year round, but since we're talking about Christmas.
And just because you mentioned the value of it, regardless of your stage of life, I think if your service could be a way to not only allow your kids to serve, but to allow maybe grandparents to serve their kids, it's giving them the gift of meaning too. So those traditions where you have to do third way thinking, that maybe it's something you've always done with grandparents, like I'm already thinking about some things that I know are going to be canceled this year that we always do with grandparents. How can we allow the grandparents to offer a similar experience by helping to plan and come up with some ideas? Because then they're going to feel that meaningful Christmas as well, because Christmas is really important to grandparents. And so anyway, I'm just thinking about how do we not only facilitate it for our children, but how do we facilitate it for other people so that they can experience the gift of having the ability to serve people, even if they are isolated or less able to do the things they've done in Christmases past.
I really like that. Yeah. I'm thinking about my aunt who is in her 90s, and she literally has been holed up in her retirement home. She can't go out and no one can come in. So the only people that she sees are the people who bring her food. It's terrible. It's terrible. But even like, how could I think, like my wheels are turning, like how can I think of a way that she could employ some of her gifts right now, and literally the endless time she can't leave her apartment. And so how could she do something that would give her some purpose in her days right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is one thing that we are seeing a need for with seniors who are isolated these days, and they have so much to offer.
Right.
So something as simple as reading Christmas books to kids virtually, I mean, that's how we handled lockdown. Just reading was a great way to connect
Mhm.
generations. But there's so many things with the holiday season that could be incorporated into that, with music and um, just fun things. Okay.
It's a good idea. Okay.
Number
Really
three.
good discussion. Number 3.
This is super practical. And again, Holiday Remake is going to help you with this. Decide what you're serving for Christmas brunch or dinner or Christmas Eve or whatever meals you are in charge of, which for many of us, it means regular meals in December and a bunch of other holiday meals. But think now. Now, here is something that I will tell you was one of the details that people said changed their December. As part of the Christmas remake, you plan all of your meals for December.
Mm-hmm.
All of
Big.
them, not 1 week at a time, not 2 weeks at a time. You plan the
Yeah.
whole month. And people were blown away. They said, I've
Mhm.
never done this. And it's because we have this little Facebook community where that's the assignment for the day or
Mhm.
2 days. We do it over 2 days. But then people are giving each other ideas. So you're like, I can
Mhm.
only think of 2 soups. Help me, people.
Yeah.
Or, but also accountability,
Mhm.
because I am the person who's like, oh, that's such a great idea.
Mhm.
Anyway, so on Facebook, or, I just get distracted, but to have that accountability makes you do it. So we talk about special meals during the Christmas remake, like the holiday traditional, I always do this on Christmas morning kind of meals. But then we talk about the regular old Tuesday in December when people still have homework, and we're not going to have basketball this year. Typically, it's basketball season for us. So we're running around. We're not going to have basketball in December, hopefully January, hopefully in January. But just, we still have to do life in December. And so as we are enjoying our December, part of it's going to be because we know it's for dinner.
Mhm. Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So good. All right. Number 2 is organize, organize, organize. And I'm going to add to this your physical spaces. So, yes, we just talked about, I feel like, organization in other areas, but actually, this is your actual physical spaces. And let me give you an example. I'm actually hiring a college, or yeah, she's like college age girl to come over, young woman. And she and I are going to organize the pantry. So, I want all my food and all my stuff ready for the holiday season. So I want it all lined up. I want to know where everything is. I want to know what I have. I want everything to be in its place so that I'm ready. The other thing, I am organizing hand soaps, like just like the linen closet stuff. I'm organizing, what light bulbs do I have? What, do I have all the stuff that I need for anyone who's going to be staying with us? And just getting kind of my ducks in a row as far as my closets go. And truly, like, one of my sons is going to help me with this as well, who's good at organization. But I also hired her because it forces me to make a spot for it in my schedule.
Mm.
So if I have her come over and I know she's coming, and what's nice about that age group is you're not paying for a professional organizer. You're just paying for a old high school student or a young college student to come over. And it is now causing me to block out a section of my week for that to happen. And so I know it will happen. So that's just another little tip, is kind of getting everything organized. So I'm also doing that on the place in the garage where we keep all the toilet paper, paper towels, you know, potatoes, all the things that I kind of keep in the garage. We're also organizing that. So that's ready too.
Hmm. Yeah, and for somebody who feels like I don't have budget for that, you can do that with a friend, where you do it for each
Yes.
other. Because I think your tip of, if I know she's coming, I gotta get ready. I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
Because I mean, it doesn't matter almost who it is. If I know
No.
someone's gonna look in a drawer, I'm gonna clean it first, right?
Right. Well, and that's the other thing we're going to do, is we're going to get all the utensils organized, and I'm going to throw out things that are broken. So again, we're ready for the holidays, right? Ready
Mhm.
for things to actually be used, and then I can find things. Oh, there is that baster for the turkey that I never use and that was lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we are to number one. What is the number one tip, Alex?
The number one thing you can do today to create holiday peace is sign up for the Christmas Remake. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that women last year who participated said, I want to do this every year.
Mm.
This changed my December. It's only $30, and $30 is worth your peace of mind and your sanity over the holiday season. You get so organized. You make new friends in the sisterhood. You're in this together. You get daily assignments and videos from the two of us. You get things that you can print out that can help you get ready and organized. You get a little bit of inspiration because we do cover Advent and how to do Advent and why the holiday is important in the first place. Like, wait a minute, stop. Why are we doing Christmas again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, because God came, and we're marking that as a family, and we want to remember it with our families, but we also want to remember it for our own hearts and souls, because people, let's just take a minute and think back. Where were you Christmas 2019? You probably know who you were with. Did you have any idea that you were going to live the year you just lived?
Mm-hmm.
Likely no, right? Unless you're prophetic, likely no. So we lived a hard year, a hard 12 months since the last Christmas. Our hearts need to be reminded again of the good news that God so loved the world that he came to show us and demonstrate that love. There's a reason we celebrate Christmas every year, and it's because we live a hard life, a year at a time in between. And this has been a hard year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's remember the good news together. Let's get a little bit of work done in November. Our December selves will thank us. It's only 3 weeks. You get these daily assignments, you get little video messages, you get this Facebook group, and it is well worth your time and money. So it's our number one tip. We're not telling you because we're going to make tons of money. Hello, it's $30. We're telling you to do this because we think you will enjoy your Christmas more. And we want you to have a good 2020 Christmas. You deserve it. It's been a hard year. We want this Christmas season to be as good as you can make it. And we think this will help you get there.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, here we go. Flying right into the holiday season, and we're doing this together. I mean, Alex and I do this ourselves because we want to enjoy our December and our Christmas as well. And so this is for all of us. We are literally walking right alongside of you in this. We hope these 10 tips were helpful today. And everyone, here we go. Let's do this together. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.